Hi everybody, welcome back. In last session, we have finished installing Python as well as Anaconda, and that is most of the Python libraries, the Python modules that you'll be needing to program your trading algorithm. Starting today is the meat of the course. We're actually going to start talking about what are the Python data types, and give you the tools to actually play with the language and play with the data to set you up on the path of programming your own trading algorithm. So let's get started. Inside Python, there are expressions like constants and variables. And there are two types of constants, numeric or string. The numeric constants are basically numbers that are cast in stone. The type of the constant can be either numeric, which is a number, or a string, which are a bunch of characters. Inside Python expressions, there's also something called variables. A variable is basically a named object that are stored in the computer's memory, where you, a programmer, a coder, can store data and then yet later using the memory address to retrieve the data. But realistically, all you need to know is that variable is a placeholder for a value. And since it's a placeholder, the value of the variable is able to change. And most likely we will want it to change based on certain rules and based on market data, based on your trading algorithm. But first of all, there are a few naming rules for the variable. The variable must start with either a letter or an underscore. The underscore looks like this. And you can access the underscore by pressing the shift and then the key beside 0 on your keyboard. So basically a variable inside Python cannot start with a number. It has to be starting with a letter from A to Z, and it can also start with an underscore. The combination of the keys that you use to make up the name of the variable can be either letters or numbers. And you can also use underscore inside the name of the variable. However, it is important to know that in Python, case does matter. Uppercase or lowercase means different things to the Python programming language. So you have to be mindful of choosing the combination of keys and uppercases or lower cases when you name your variable. Now, there's something called assignment statement, and this is basically, in this line, it's basically how we would instantiate a variable and immediately assign a value to the variable, and that's how we set up a variable. In Python programming language, anything is an object. So X is a variable, but X is also an object. So this is how you would set up a variable. A variable can also be assigned together with an expression. And this is where this kind of expression is typically used in when you are incrementing a particular variable by a fixed number. Like every time you increment it by 2 in this case. Of course, another quick way, which is what programmers usually do, is to, instead of saying x equals x plus 2, we would just say x plus equals to 2. And this is basically, these two expressions meant exactly the same thing. And that typically is used whenever something happens, we increment the value of x by 2. There's also something called the print statement. Print statement doesn't return anything per se, but it prints out the content of the variable. If the variable has value, it's going to print out that value. If it is more of a complex type of a variable or a complex object, it would print out the type, the name of the type, and if there's a value, it will also print that out. So these are the Python expressions. Expressions basically have two types, the constants and the variables, but more importantly, expressions are not data types. In short, Python expressions are basically operations that you can use to combine different data types so that you arrive at a new value. And these are the operations that we can use inside Python. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, they all work in the usual way that we expect them to. The percentage sign is basically the modulo operation inside math, and you will get the remainder inside Python. So when we're talking about different operations, there's always the question of operator precedence. When you have more than one operation strung together, which one should happen first? These are the summary of the table that summarizes which operation is going to take precedence over the rest. So parentheses are always respected. Anything inside the parentheses is going to get done first. When you exponentiate something, it's going to take precedence over multiplication, division, and modulo operation. And then after that, it's addition and subtraction. In general, we do things from left to right. But the exception is when you have any of these above, any of this operations, then you will do these first in this order.